Sorry about that, I had to make sure it was on. Hi, I'm here to do my September TBR. So I got a pile of books here, let's jump into it. I've already started reading some of them. So this is Grey by Pete Wentz. Yes, that Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy. This is a very self-indulgent, semi-autobiographical novel about the early days, not the early days of Fall Out Boy, but kind of from like the recording of From Under the Cork Tree and trying to get themselves established, and about, if you know anything about Fall Out Boy, about his relationship with Janae. And yeah, it's interesting because, you know, I was fascinated with Fall Out Boy to that degree that I know who he's talking about and what he's talking about in certain situations and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely more of a, if you're a fan of Fall Out Boy, if you're a fan of Pete Wentz, pick this up. Then I'm also reading The Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flanagan. He wrote one of my favorite books, Gould's Book of Fish. This is about an Australian man who is, because it jumps back and forth in time, a prisoner of war during World War II with the Japanese, which was a horrible thing to be a part of. The Japanese really did not treat their prisoner of wars with any humanity. So we jump from his childhood before the war, being a prisoner of war, and then afterwards him as a 70-year-old man looking back on his life. So it's really quite interesting so far. Then we got White Noise by Dawn DeLillo, and every time I read this I keep wanting to think about Dom DeLuise. So it will be interesting. Hopefully this is kind of funny, reading it and thinking that Dom DeLuise is like maybe narrating it or something. So this is about a, you know, kind of a modern family in middle America who navigate the usual rocky passages of family life to the background babble of brand name consumerism. And then this kind of chemical cloud comes and, you know, kind of acts as a visual metaphor for, you know, their life and the poisonousness of consumerism is what I'm assuming. But we'll see. This is from the 1980s, so it might be about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Then we have another war novel, but this is World War I. This is Timothy Findley's The Wars. And this is about a Canadian man who at the age of 19 decides to join up and go fight in the war. But it's not just about World War I, the wars, it's also about the war within himself and as a general metaphor for wars in general. That's what the flap was telling me anyways. So we will see. I haven't read any Timothy Findley, so I'm really excited to read some of his. Then we are jumping over to New Zealand with Witi Himera's The Whale Rider. This might sound familiar because it was made into a movie in 2002, 2001. I didn't realize it was that long ago. And this is about a Maori tribe in New Zealand, and generally the chiefdom and the whale rider are the same person, and they tend to be male, right? But now, you know, it's the 21st century, and we have this 8-year-old girl who is the only heir. There's no male heirs, it's just her. So she has to kind of navigate modern life, being part of a tribe and keeping up these traditions, and proving her that she is able to be the whale rider and to take over the role of chief. Another Canadian novel, this is The Body's Place by Elise Turcotte, translated by Sheila Fishman. And this is about a young girl who's 15, Helene, and a girl is found murdered. That talks about the body and the place where it is found, but it also is a reference to, you know, her body and its place in the world. Yeah. Then we have The Monk by Matthew Lewis. Sorry if you are offended by naked men. But yeah, this is a novel from 1796 written by a member of parliament who is not even 20 years old. And it is about a Capuchin superior who succumbs to temptations offered by a young girl who has entered his monastery disguised as a boy, and continues his descent with increasingly depraved acts of sorcery, murder, incest, and torture. Combining sensationalism with acute psychological insight, this masterpiece of Gothic fiction is a powerful exploration of how violent and erotic impulses can break through the barriers of social and moral restraint. So you know, well, I'll be reading this kind of depraved book alongside this children's novel, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I really enjoyed A Little Princess. I grew up with these movies in the 90s. They were like iconic. So I'm finally getting around to reading these books. The Secret Garden is about this young orphan named Mary who's sent to go live with these distant relatives that she'd never met. Kind of stifled household, very strict, but she's also very free-spirited. And then she discovers the secrets. It's not just a secret garden, but they're hiding some of their secrets as well. And I really enjoyed the depth of A Little Princess, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of that in The Secret Garden here. Then I will be reading, not this whole thing, just the first part of it, Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. $2. It really does pay to shop at thrift stores. And this is the first of a 1960s fantasy trilogy. After 10 long turns, Lessa was ready to come out of hiding to claim her birthright and become Werewoman of Bendon, but suddenly the deadly silver threads once again threatened all Pern with destruction. The mighty telepathic dragons were fewer in number, not nearly enough to protect the planet in its hour of greatest peril, until Lessa hatched a daring and dangerous scheme to rally support from people who had long ago ceased to exist. So yeah, and lastly, I've already started this. This is Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. It's another World War II novel, but it's really quite weird so far. I don't want to spoil anything because I see a lot of just go into it blindly. Even the back here just says, the first line in the book, "A screaming comes from across the sky." Yeah, just know that it's a postmodern, really weird things are going on. Yeah. So that's it. That's what I'll be reading in September. Let me know which book you're most looking forward to in September, and thank you for watching.